Hi, I'm Josh, and this is Cars and Joshy.
Hey, welcome to Cars and Joshy. I should have started recording this a little bit earlier, but I ran into an issue and didn't really care to get it on video. I just wanted to work fast to fix it, and that issue was if you've got a vintage air kit for the G-body, make sure you pay attention to the way the condenser goes in, because it's supposed to be the number 6 line at the top or at the bottom, and the number 8 line at the top, and I had it reversed, and so I unbolted all of this, took the radiator out, took all this out, unbolted the condenser and flipped it over to where I have my number 8 at the top now and my number 6 down there at the bottom. So after all of that, I started working with these fittings, started getting the fittings put on the killer chiller right here. Got the number 6 at the bottom, got this one at the top, number 10, and then what I'm going to do now, this is the hard line that came with the vintage air system. I think I'll be able to use that. That looks like it'll be all right. Right in there like that. The number 6 line I couldn't really use, so I got these other fittings. This is a 45 right here. I'm gonna bring it up right through here, right there. That's the end of it. Just put a hose in there right there. And what I'm gonna end up doing is, so there's 2 number 6s coming from over here. There's going to be this one, there's going to be that one down there. Those are going to come over here into this T right here. So I'm going to put this 90 on it, point it straight down like that, have it come right into the top of this T, and then the other 2 are going to go out that way. I just went and got some Q-tips, and this is some PAG oil. I'm going to start putting some PAG oil in these hoses and get them all ran up. So here we go. And this should be fine. I'm not too worried about getting too much PAG oil from just lubing it up there. I just want to make sure I got enough hose length and get all my hoses routed to where they want to go. Then I can take the fittings off and go crimp everything. I'm probably going to set the camera down to do this and come back once I got the hoses cut. So I've got the 2 lines hooked up to the killer chiller. These are the AC lines now. Kind of looks like spaghetti in here now. But I've got the number 6 line and a number 10 line. And they both come out here and go into a T. And so here's the number 6 T and number 10 T. The other number 6 is from the condenser right there at the bottom. So both of those number 6 lines come out right here, go into this T, come up and go into the receiver dryer. Receiver dryer goes out and goes into the evaporator. The number 10 line comes out, goes into this T, tees off, goes straight down into the compressor and into the evaporator. The only line that I have left is the number 8 line, which comes out of the compressor, goes into the condenser. So that's going to be high pressure gas pretty much. So compressor is going to compress all the refrigerant and all that stuff and come out into the condenser, high pressure gas. It's going to go through the condenser, cool down, get transformed into a liquid. Liquid's going to come out, come into the receiver dryer. Receiver dryer is going to take all the moisture out of it to where it's pure refrigerant. Refrigerant's going to go into the evaporator. Evaporator is like a heat exchanger too, so it's going to exchange that refrigerant from high pressure to low pressure and go back into the compressor, and cycle's going to start all over again. So that's pretty much how that's going to work. I have this line left to make, and because of the killer chiller, I'm having to make my own hoses. So I need some different fittings that didn't come with the killer chiller and that didn't come with the vintage air kit. So I bought a couple more fittings. And what I plan to do is just have this line come straight down and hook into the compressor right down here. My number 8 line here is going to be parallel with the number 10 line, and I'm going to try and hook it up right here. And I would really like my service port to be right up top here, so I can have a service port here, and then I'll have this one over here. So if I find number 10 straight with a service port on it, might be better than that 45, because then I can run it parallel with this and come up and just go over into the T. I'm almost there. I've got to wait on this one piece, and then I'll make that last line and then figure out how to secure all this stuff. All right, I'll be back when I get that other fitting. Hey YouTube, I'm back out in the garage today. It's been a couple days. I've been waiting on parts, but I'm gonna get back to making these AC lines. So these are parts came in. I've got a straight size number 10 AC line with a service port. That's gonna come out of the bulkhead basically. And then I've got a bunch of number 6 fittings and a number 8 fitting. That's gonna go to the compressor. And just got some extra stuff. I think I got a number 845 and a number 890. So I'll see which one works better for my application there. But I also got, I think, either 6 or 8 feet of standard barrier number 6 hose. I'll show you the difference between the standard barrier and the reduced barrier hose. So let me grab that off of there. Oh yeah, the place I ordered this from is called Nostalgic AC. They got a good website. All of these fittings, the hose, all this stuff, you can grab from their website, and they do pretty good shipping. And what I really like about this company is they have good service, because I had ordered 3 separate orders over the course of like last Friday, I think. I just kept coming back out here and looking at the El Camino and was like, oh yeah, I need this too. And I kept forgetting stuff, so I kept making separate orders. So when Monday came, I looked at the emails, and I only had one email for a shipment and then another email for a return. So they pretty much, when they got in the office on Monday, they consolidated those 3 orders into one and refunded me back like 25 bucks or something. But good company to buy AC parts from and AC fittings. Nostalgic AC. So let me show you what the difference between the reduced and standard barrier hoses look like. This right here is going to be your reduced barrier hose. And this right here is your standard barrier hose. So you can see the difference in the wall thickness, basically. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about the barrier. And reduced versus standard, the wall thickness is much higher in the standard barrier. And so what you get when you go to put the fittings on is you get all this room in here if you don't have the right fittings. And so you can see, you know, the gap you got to crimp down between reduced barrier versus standard barrier, which has a much better fitting on the standard barrier fittings. So what happens is, if you're not paying attention, you get what I got when you start crimping them down, which is just, I mean, it's on there, I can't pull it off, but it just looks like boo-boo. I mean, it doesn't look good at all. So that's when I went ahead and stopped and ordered what I needed, ordered the correct parts there. So like I said, I'm gonna swap all this reduced barrier hose out with standard barrier and finish up doing all the crimping. And I'll show you the crimp tool that I got from Amazon and how I'm using that to crimp these fittings on here. I have all but one AC line ran, and I wanted to stop before I run that line just to kind of show some differences between my setup and what the Vintage Air kit originally comes with. So this right here is the number 8 line. It's supposed to go from this port that comes out of the condenser to the AC compressor. This fitting is supposed to be on the AC compressor, and this fitting is supposed to tap into this hard line right here. That's not going to work in my application, number one, because the high
pressure service port is on this fitting, and that would be way too close to my control arm and stuff down there, so had to go with a different fitting there. And then number two, it's just a different layout for the hard line. The hard line is supposed to be pointing out straight, not up, because if I wanted to use this, it'd be coming straight up and I have to have a hard 90 bend or something like that. So it's just not working for my setup. The other thing was this is supposed to be on the compressor on the number 10 side, so both of my service ports would be right there on the compressor, but that's not going to work because of you know, the proximity to the frame and all that stuff. So I changed all of that up. What I did was I went with a straight number 10 fitting with the service port here, and I repurposed this vintage air fitting from down there, moved it to up here, bought me a 45, and as you can see, that's the last line I have to make, and which is this line here that has this fitting pre-crimped on it. So I'm gonna chop that fitting off, run me a line from right here, probably go in between here, right down there to that 45, and that'll be my last line, and I can start crimping everything together. The other thing that came with the vintage air system was this pre-crimped number 6 hose that was supposed to come out of the somewhere, I guess maybe to here. I think, yeah, that's where it was, and it just made it too long. This was one hose right here. This number 6 line was one hose, and it was too long, so I cut it, bought me another 90, put it in there like that. So those are kind of the differences if you have a vintage air kit. I just hacked it all up and I had to run my own stuff. So so I'm gonna get this one last number 8 line ran to down there, and then I'll start working on the crimping. Got that last AC line made up, that number 8 line, going straight down here, running parallel with this one kind of. So what I'm gonna work on now is just crimping all of these, and I think I'm just gonna start with the easy one right here, this number 6. I'll show you guys how to use the crimper tool, and then the rest of them are going to be the same exact way. It's just different dies that you use for the right size AC line. So once I do one, I'm just going to show the one, and then I'll go ahead and finish up all the rest. So let me grab the tool. I'll show you what's going on. Still looks a little bit like kind of spaghetti right there, but I think when I get rid of those loops and shorten those fuel lines, it'll clean that up a little bit more. I might get some type of clamp or something to try to keep this kind of even as far down the fender as I can, and then you know, it'll be all right after that. This little area here's with all the T's right there. You know, normally you wouldn't even see that, or you wouldn't have any of that, because not everybody's going to be running a killer chiller, but just the way that it works, you got to have those T's in there. Still kind of looks like a mess right here. I want to clean this up a little bit. These lines are too short right here. I'm probably going to cut this one, move this up, and get a little bit more length on these lines so they're not pinching right here. This one's not going to be in service anyways unless the compressor goes out, but if that happens, I want the coolant to be able to flow. I don't want it to be restricted here, so I'm probably going to modify this and bring it up some so I can have longer lines here and they're not so tight there. So, but yeah, let me go ahead and get that crimper, and I'll show you guys how to do that. One of the first things you're going to want to do is go ahead and mark the hose where it's coming in and the fitting so that they line up, and you know that the fitting is going to be facing the way you need it to, because like once you get it crimped on here, you're not going to be able to rotate those fittings. So you got to crimp the hose on the fitting and the direction that it's going to attach to where you're attaching it to. So here's what the tool looks like. It came in this nice case right here. Case has operating instructions and different dies in here different size AC hoses, and a hose cutter, some gloves. It's an okay kit, I guess. Anyways, this is the main tool right here. So when you go to use it, just make sure this valve is open. That relieves any hydraulic pressure. You've got this piston or this yoke here. You can back that all the way out, and then pull this pin right here, and you can put whatever size crimps that you need in there. So this is size 6, which is what I need. So they got little grooves in here that it falls into. Once it's in there, you'll go and make sure you can fit your fitting in through here. Slide your fitting in there, basically turn the handle until it is snug on the fitting. Close your hydraulic valve and just start squeezing, pumping it till it crimps that fitting. So let me go ahead and grab that hose and I'll show you real quick. All right, here we go. You can see where I made the line. I'll feed this in here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is pull this out, open it up, make sure I can see my line, because I want to make sure the fitting is lined up before I start crimping anything. Alright, fitting's in there. Just gonna loosen it up so that I can move it around in here to show everybody. See how the hose can twist and get your line off. You want to make sure that line is on target. Tighten this up. Go ahead and close my valve and just start squeezing the handle really. And I'll start crimping it on there. Leave that pressure. Wind this out a little bit. And there you have it. Let me take a look. So let me go ahead and get this put back on, and I'm gonna do the rest. Okay, so we got everything tied back in. Everything is crimped. Have 2 number 6 lines. That one there. That one there. You got a number 10 line coming out to the front here. They all go into these T's right here. This is the number 10 T. There's the number 6 T. I've got all the fittings tightened. Got it tightened over here as well. And I got it tightened down on the compressor. So, like everything you do for the first time, as you do it more, you get better. So, of course, this last line, this number 8 that I crimped, crimp came out the best out of all of my crimps. One thing that I found out is, so the markings on those dies, I was using this one to crimp the number 6 line, but this is actually supposed to be for a reduced barrier hose. This one right here is supposed to be 6 or an 8 reduced barrier hose. So if you guys use this or get one of those crimpers, just make note of that. Make sure you use the right one. But I'm gonna let it ride. I'll pull a vacuum on the system, make sure that it's holding the vacuum, and if it is, then I'm gonna say that that's gonna hold. The only piece that I'm worried about is this one right here. This killer chiller system is supposed to be a number 12 hose, or you know, all the instructions in the killer chiller set came with the number 12 hose. I don't understand why, because it gets reduced down to a 1/2 inch right here. And number 10 hose is a 1/2 inch. So this weird flare fitting that they have on here, going from an 8, I think this is an 8AN fitting to some fitting here, some flared fitting. It doesn't, it's supposed to be for a number 12 hose. But the thread pitch, they made a number 10 hose with the right thread pitch. It's just the flare is not right on this fitting to match up with the flare on this fitting. So I might have to look to change out this fitting, because I tighten this down, but if I push down on this, it'll loosen up. So I know that flare is not, it's not seated right. But I don't know. I'm going to pull a vacuum on the system like I said, and we'll see if this holds vacuum. But that's going to be it for the whole AC system. AC lines going to the vintage air and also to the killer chiller. All the custom hoses, tool that you would need and stuff to do that. Like I said, this is a unique build. Not everybody's going to have a killer chiller. If you're just going for the vintage air, it's going to be a lot easier. And that's going to be it for this video. So thanks for watching Cars and Joshy. Josh out.